Welcome everybody to another episode of the CotAcasT. My name is Bermudez, and I'm the host of the Craft of the Air podcast. Podcast not just for aviation enthusiasts or professionals, but also those with a general interest in aviation. Join us on our journey as we explore the horizon of aviation together. I'm so glad that you guys are tuned in for today's CotAcasT. I couldn't wait until midweek when there's pressing news stories coming into my feeds, and I'm hearing about it, and people letting me know this is happening. And I'm like, you know what? We're gonna just have to write an episode right now. Let's do this. CotAcasT is the future of aviation turbulent. In just the past week alone, there have been 3 separate serious incidents involving severe turbulence. In one case, someone actually passed away as the result of their injuries on this event. And so we take a look at aviation and the future of aviation. Are we starting to see more of these severe turbulent events on board aircraft? Is there something behind it? Is there something specific? Is there something that we should be accustomed to going into the future? Have you ever wondered what turbulence is or why it happens? You're in the right place. All right. Why have planes been encountering so much turbulence lately? We'll take a look at that. First things first, today's episode of the CotAcasT is brought to you by Craft of the Air. Just stop memorizing outdated content, rereading textbook. You're reading the same page 3 times, you still didn't understand what you read without really understanding your aviation content. If you're seriously looking to obtain your FAA airframe and power plant licenses, Craft of the Air offers personalized learning sessions remotely from the convenience of your house. Are you tired of searching endlessly for unreliable data? Are you in the field of aviation and need help accomplishing your next big project? Consulting by Craft of the Air is a second you when you need it. Anything aviation. Visit www.craftoftheair.com today and speak with a federally licensed professional. Craft of the Air, our craft is of the air. So we'll dive into it. Now, the future of aviation. Is there turbulence on the horizon? All right, in this week's episode of the CotAcasT, we'll be discussing recently the past week. But beyond that as well, the topic of turbulence. Now, there have been 3 separate incidents in the past week that have involved turbulence. Now, we had a Lufthansa flight from Texas bound to Germany, a private jet in Connecticut, and a Condor Airbus flying from Frankfurt to Mauritius. So now, have you ever wondered what turbulence is and why it happens, and why have there been so many planes encountering it of late? Now, all right. So the first event that we explore, it was concerning an incident, all right, involving an Airbus 300, and this was on Wednesday, on March 1st. And it took off from Austin International, AUS, and it was going to FAR, Frankfurt International. 172 passengers on board, 12 crew on board. Now, trouble first arose around 90 minutes into the 10-hour flight. So, thank God it happened at that point. 90 minutes into a 10-hour flight, Lufthansa Flight 469 was cruising at a flight level of 370, 37,000 feet, when severe turbulence, it experienced some extreme turbulence over Tennessee. It actually caused the aircraft to descend to flight level 270, 27,000 feet, and caused it to be diverted to Dulles in D.C., to Washington, D.C. For those listening, a lot of people don't realize that Dulles is actually, technically, it's located in Virginia. So, all right. First responders actually, so they boarded the aircraft, the Airbus, after it landed, and there were 7 people that were transported to hospitals, according to the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority spokesman Michael Cabbage. One passenger told the Washington Post, food went flying into the air, hitting and even damaging the ceiling of the plane. She added the person sitting in front of them was heavily bleeding and had to be taken off the aircraft in a wheelchair, end quote. A Lufthansa spokesperson said in a statement that the cause was clear air turbulence. Now, there was a second incident. In the second event, it was a Condor. It was an Airbus 330-900. This, and also related to Frankfurt, but not, actually related. But this one was flying from FAR, from Frankfurt. And this one was heading to Mauritius, MRU. And this was on Wednesday, and this was on March. So both the Lufthansa flight and this were both on Wednesday, on March 1st. The flight Delta Echo 2314 experienced severe turbulence 9 hours into its 11-hour flight. There were 272 passengers, 13 crew on board. The aircraft landed safely at MRU's runway 14. However, the turbulence caused injuries to 20 passengers. Aircraft cabin sustained unspecified damage, which required further assessment. Now, going on to the third and final incident, one of the most serious. The third incident was a private business jet that experienced a significant turbulence event over New England. This one was on in the afternoon on Friday, March 3rd. The Bombardier Challenger 300 had 5 people on board, 3 passengers and 2 crew members. Now, the aircraft was diverted to Bradley International Airport, all right, in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, at about 4 p.m. And this was when the pilot declared an emergency. The pilot had taken off in New Hampshire and was bound to Leesburg, Virginia. Now, it's interesting because it's owned. This aircraft was owned by a company that's based in Kansas City, Missouri. And this company that's based in Kansas City, Missouri, they bring high-speed internet to rural communities. So now, most unfortunately, one of the passengers lost their lives as a result of this severe turbulence event. Another person was taken to the hospital. According to the Connecticut State Police, the NTSB has launched an investigation into the, quote, rare passenger death, end quote. And so, it really hits home, in aviation when we have something like this. Now, the Washington Post published an article, and it discussed the topic of turbulence in depth. Now, according to the article written by Scott Dance, the warning of the Earth, or the warming. Now, listen to this. The warming of the Earth is making the risk of bumpy flights greater, and it's at different altitudes. Now, let's go into this. Now, according to Paul Williams, a professor of atmospheric science at the University of Reading in the United Kingdom, global warming is causing more turbulence. Yeah. a research paper he co-authored in 2019 found it to be the case on busy aviation routes, particularly over North America. Now, a property known as wind shear is the degree in which wind speeds vary at different altitudes. That has increased 15% since 1979, as that research concluded. 15%. Now, when we have high wind shear, differences in wind speed create atmospheric disturbances, very much like rippling. It's important to know that turbulence accounted for 37.6% of all accidents on commercial airliners from 2009 to 2018. Now, that's according to the NTSB, a report that was released in 2021. Now, the flight crew had no warning in about 28 of those turbulence-related incidents. Most important figure, the FAA reported 122 serious injuries from turbulence over that course from 2009 to 2018. Now we see this. We see this. And we've had a fatality that we've seen. Now, the NTSB refers to this event, this unfortunate event that happened in New England, that we had a passenger pass away, as a rare event. And this may very well be the case. Now, from 1980 to 2008, U.S. Airlines reported 298 serious injuries, of which 3 were fatalities. So this is from 1980 to 2008. So it is quite rare. And I should note that the 3 fatalities that were the result of turbulence from 1980 to 2008 were, and I'll quote the FAA as saying, at least 2 of the 3 fatalities involved passengers who were not wearing their seatbelts while the fasten seatbelt sign was illuminated, end quote. Boom. Now, the cost. What does it cost us? Now, so it's extremely rare for somebody to lose their life over a turbulence event. Mostly fatalities. Now, we have some comfort in that, right? The people that are listening that aren't necessarily keen on flying all the time, and they kind of think twice about flying. Now, what does it cost the airlines? Now, turbulence costs the airlines a great deal of money. Check this out. Over $500 million in yearly damages and delays. Researchers and the aviation industry are working. It's, $500 million. There's obviously improvements that need to be made, but we see, researchers in the aviation industry, they're working to improve the prediction of turbulence. It should be noted currently, aircrafts today, most aircraft models have predictive wind shear equipment, wind shear systems on board. Now, this equipment that's usually on board, particularly Airbus aircraft we speak of, it's referred to as a PWS, or predictive wind shear system. And that system, it provides reliable indications at all altitudes. That system is able to alert the flight crew of impending data, orally and visually, of a wind shear. Now, even with this, and with that predictive wind shear system, could usually give them an advance warning of about 60 seconds in some cases, but in not all cases. It's something that cannot be avoided all of the time. And it's definitely something to think about. I know everybody always thinks, for one of the first questions, why can't it be avoided? Why is there so much wind shear? What's going on up there? The FAA states that it is encouraging airlines to improve training around the risks of turbulence. Now, it's, and of course, we have technology at the airports, to alert the many airports, particularly those that are prone to microbursts and wind shears. They're equipped with LLWASs. This is something we call, if I said that right, the low-level wind shear alerting system. We also have systems that airports are equipped with called the TDWR, or Terminal Doppler Weather Radar. These are all things to assist those crews in possible wind shears and low to the ground, of course, in those cases. And we have our wind shear detection systems on board the aircraft. But with that being said, and with the statement and the research that was done by Paul Williams, the professor of atmospheric science at the University of Reading, it's possible that global warming, now I have no position on global warming. I'm not going to get into that. I really don't have a position on global warming. I don't, but interesting. And I ask you guys, do you think global warming, is that something that is going to contribute to increased severe turbulent events? Is this something that even concerns you? Maybe some people are listening, they're like, oh, I love turbulence. Just like me. That's the best part of the flight. The more turbulence, the better. Or maybe we have people that are listening that don't like flying. So it goes. And I ask you guys, do you think the turbulence is caused by climate change? Nah, let's go there. Will incidents continue to increase? Does it concern you? Add it to the poll. I thank you guys. Wrap it up with that. And I thank you guys so much for listening to another CotAcasT. That about wraps it up for this week's this episode, because I think we're going to be getting some more consistency here, because there's just too much. There's too much happening in aviation, and you know what? You guys are going to get the best information from the CotAcasT. If you have not done so already, take this opportunity to check out the Craft of the Air website at www.craftoftheair.com and get your free initial consultation today. Craft of the Air, our craft is of the air. Seriously, thank you so much, everybody, for listening to today's podcast. Be sure to follow the Craft of the Air Instagram. You'll get the latest CotAcasT news, the newest episodes, the newest news from Craft of the Air, possible discounts, and members-only content and material that only you guys will get. So I really do appreciate everybody that's been listening from the very beginning, and everybody that's just listening. This is the first episode that you're listening to. This is great. This is great. Make sure you guys, if you get the chance, leave us a review. Check out the polls on Spotify. The polls are on Spotify. You can also listen to us for free on Apple Podcasts as well. Thank you so much for listening, you guys. Have a great day. Be safe. I will see you soon.